Okay, so for this particular page, we need our leftover striped paper, if we still have it, or whatever paper you have. We're actually going to use the checked side. We're going to use our leftover circles from our last page. So I have my leftover circles, which is why I cut them with a purpose right in the center so that I can use that outside. And then we're going to use these two little strips that I have left over from um, our first page. And we're going to use our sunflower borders. Now, you can certainly, if you don't have the borders, you can certainly punch a border. They have the sunflower border punch. I think some of you have gotten with the National Scrapbook Day stuff, but I want you to know this is kind of a page that I thought was really pretty, and it really does end up using lots of leftovers, specifically this, um, what do you call it? This circle cutout, which is what I wanted to use up. I wanted to give you a way to use this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. I'm going to take each one of these. I'm going to get my trimmer out, and I am going to, let me just put my blades away. I'm going to cut this at the 6-inch mark. So I am taking this and I'm cutting it right down at 6 inches. So I have this half a circle left over. One side I'm going to put away because I don't need it right now. I am going to turn it and I'm going to cut it again at 6 inches. So I'm really just getting that corner edge. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the brown because I want that for a mat for that corner. So I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to cut it at 6 inches. Same thing as I did with the last piece. I'm going to turn it and cut it one side at 6 inches again. So I have these corner pieces just to use up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two corners, the brown ones on the bottom, and I'm going to take this decorative flowered paper, which I love so much, and I didn't want to miss using any piece of it. I am going to tape it, wrong tape runner. I'm going to tape it. I put tape down the sides and a little bit in the middle here. And I'm just going to center it so that the brown edge is matting this decorative piece of paper about 1/4 of an inch. So it looks like this. And then you see that 1/4 of an inch mat to that decorative paper. And I'm going to do that with the other one as well, because this is going to be a double-sided piece of paper. I keep grabbing my wrong. And I'm using regular tape. This is my repositionable tape. That's why I keep grabbing it over there and I don't mean to. It doesn't matter which one, because repositionable tape is tiny little glue dots. And it actually is great because if you don't put it down right, you can pull it back up. But after a week or so, it is down there. Actually, a couple of days, it is down there, and it's very hard to get it back up. I like to use my regular tape because I can always get a multi-purpose tool under it to get things up if I change my mind. Repositionable tape is great for as you're repositioning it in place, but then it becomes permanent. Okay, so you have your um, uh, background paper is the 2 sheets of beige is what I'm using. So I use my beige as the background. I have my triangles here, and they do have that cutout. But you know what? Nobody's going to see that cutout because I tucked it under my borders. And that's exactly it's just such a great way to use those triangles and make more pages out of it. You can certainly use them in the corner and cut them so that they're um, straight across here and you don't have that curved line, you can certainly do that. But I wanted to just tuck it under. I thought that was a great way to use up those corners and have a purpose for that outside of that paper. So I have my background. What I'm going to do is take my leftover striped paper. I want to cut it on the so that I have a 12 by 2 inch piece of stripe here. So I'm cutting it along the stripes. So I need a 2 inch strip. So I just put it at 2 inches. And I have this a 2 inch strip of plaid. And I want to cut two of them because I'm making 2 pages. So I have a stripe for one page and one for the other. So I have my 2 stripes. And then I have my 2 strips from earlier. I had cut them off that striped paper, and basically I just took one of those yellow strips and cut it off. That's up to you. It could be any paper, but just for this layout. And then I have my 2 sunflower borders that came in the National Scrapbook Day bundle. And now it's really just a matter of putting it together. So I take all my pieces. And I'm going to put my paper down. I know that this border is about 3 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is I took my ruler and figured out where is my 3 inch mark. And then I just want to grab a pencil. I had one here and now I don't know what happened to it. So I'm just taking a pencil and marking this where my 3 inch mark line is. And I'll show you in a minute why am I doing that. So my border, when I build my border up, it's going to come out to about the 3 inch line. And the reason I marked my paper with a pencil line is when I tape this triangle down first. So I'm just going to put some tape on it. So you see my cutout circle is still here, and these two don't line up. There's 2 different points there. I want to make sure that this 3 inch line is underneath this curve, as well as the points on the edge, that they go beyond that 3 inch line, so that the brown one, which is the background one, is on that 3 inch line. And I'm just going to do a little bit more over here, 3 inches, just so I can see it over here. And 3 inches. Okay. So the reason I want that line there is I want to make sure that that circle is beyond that 3 inch line, and these brown points are down to that 3 inch line. One, it makes it straighter for me to have it, those points each on one of those lines, but I'm also covering where this circle is and where this piece is. So once I build the border on top of that, it's going to cover it and you're never going to even know. Now I can certainly take my trimmer and cut it straight across so I don't have to worry about that, but I don't need to do that extra step. All I have to make sure is that all this is underneath that border. So now I'm going to take my strip of green, the green plaid. Oops. I'm going to put some tape on my green plaid strip. I'm going to put that right on the edge of my paper. I'm going to then take that little strip of yellow that I had left over from that first page we did, and I'm going to, and I have a little bit of white on the edge of that yellow. That's not going to bother me because actually a lot of this yellow strip is going to get covered up. Um, so it's not a big deal to me. Some people may be very upset by that, so feel free to cut it off, but I am not that worried because we are going to cover a lot of this yellow. So I'm just building this right next to that green strip. So you can see some of that cutout is still showing. Some of that 3-inch line is still showing there. But don't worry about that because now we're going to take any one of your borders, border maker cartridges. You can cut out a border that way. I'm using the sunflower borders, which I think are absolutely beautiful. You can use some foam tape under it to raise it up a little bit, or you can just tape it on flat because it's made with a thicker piece of paper. It's really sturdy and thicker. It almost looks like a 3D embellishment. But I'm going to raise it up with a little bit of foam tape. So I'm just going to flip it over. I'm just going to cut random strips of this foam tape and put them down, which is going to raise it a little bit more on my page. I love the foam tape. It just gives a little bit more dimension. It's just like your foam squares, but I can cut it to whatever length I want. And then you just pull off these little strips of paper and it leaves the sticky side exposed. I just have to get it up with my fingernail. And then I just put this border on and I'm moving it out down a little bit towards the butterfly paper. And the reason I'm moving it down a little bit is because I want that strip of yellow underneath it to show. And then once I have it placed, I put it down and it covered all the imperfections underneath it. And you have this beautiful page ready for pictures.